Hello, all. Welcome to my channel. I'm Raju Pujala. Until now, we have seen data and scenarios like how to add a column, how to delete a column, how to drop a table, and how to make a few functions, how to handle the dates, null values, and everything. So this time, this is going to be the last second video in our playlist. So this is all about the partitioning the tables. So partitioning tables versus the normal tables. The key difference between the partition table and the normal table is that it's all about the performance optimization, cost efficiency, and query behavior. So if you have a huge data, in all of my examples, hardly I took like 10 rows of data, right? But ideally, when you're working for a company and when you're handling millions of data, basically, your each and every query, sometimes it takes more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Depends on the kind of data that you're having. Depends on the size of the data, like how many number of rows and how many number of columns. So why? I mean, there should be something where you can extract the data very easily, rather spending like hours and hours of time, right? So that's the reason we have a kind of a nice feature called partition of tables. So the limit is like we can have only 4,000 partitions. That's the limit in the BigQuery, just for FYI. So I mean, how you can partition? For example, let's talk about a shop. So where basically they have customers every day who comes and who buys the products from their store. So let's assume that they are maintaining everything, all the data in a SQL tables. So every day they are updating that main table with those with that specific day sales as well. So, for example, let's assume that a specific XYZ company, they're maintaining the data since from January until December of 2024. Now, let's assume that number of records are like 100K. Now, if you go and if you look for, I would like to look for, customer Rajiv. So basically, it has to scan all the 1 lakh records. If in case if it is able to find the customer Rajiv in the first 10 rows, it returns the values instantly. But sometimes if it is not there, it has to go all the way until the end it has to scan all the rows. So instead of that, if you have partition based on the date or the timestamp, so it groups the data automatically while creating the table. And whenever you look for a specific date, it just goes like that instead of going through all that values. Okay, too much of theory. Let's go and let's see. Okay, for example, I have, let's assume this is the data. Select one as ID, Rajiv as name. We do have a date 2024 12/18 as sales date. Okay, so union all, select to Mahesh, date 2024 12/18, union all. So let's assume this is the data 3 Sai, date of 2024 12/19. Right, we all know until now what is going to happen. Select start from data, so this returns all the data over here. Now while creating a table, ideally what we do, create or replace table. So I would like to create an under dataset d1 dot partition ti partition 1 as. So this is how we create the table. This is called a normal table, right? But for the partitions ones, so there is a query syntax. So create or replace table, the table name, partition by. Okay, so only you can partition by the dates. That's how this works. So we have write this partition by date. And what is the date value here? Sales date. And now let's run this one. Okay, one second. Expression, it should be timestamp. So instead of date, let's do this timestamp over here. I'm so sorry. Asia or Kolkata. So timestamp here. So here Asia, Kolkata. and the timestamp here. So Asia. So I'm also learning while I'm teaching you Kolkata. Okay. So now let's run this one. It should work now. Cannot replace a table with partitioning specification. Okay, let's have like partition 2. Now let's see. So it has successfully created a partition 2 table. And whenever, so select start from this one. This looks like a normal table only. Now, what's the difference? Where sales date is equal to 2024 12/18. So when we do something like this, the query returns the data very faster, and you can return you can achieve the results in faster speed. Thank you for watching this video. Please do let me know if you have any questions on this one. I'm no, and no. What we can do? So one more thing. So let's see. I mean, this is how it returns the normal value. So let's do this one with date of this one. Can also do something like this. So this returns the table based on the sales date. I mean, earlier we have seen with the timestamps, but it's not an intuitive to write the timestamp and everything. So always use this method. So what we did the partition by the date. So and then when come here instead of but while partitioning, we should have the timestamps. Timestamps contains the dates and the time as well. So for that's the reason when we are filtering the data, so I use the date over here, so that just by using the date instead of the entire whole timestamp, we can return those results. Thank you for watching this video.